Let's move on for the next panel session, which is the session 2, panel discussion, right? And the session theme is bridging the skill gap in the institution, industry, and individuals. This panel is moderated by Mr. Mukesh Arora, founder of Aurora Executive Placement Consultants from Indonesia. Mr. Mukesh has been based in Indonesia for the past 27 years with a very strong knowledge of the business operations in Indonesia, well-versed in legal complexities, local laws and customs, and challenges involved in acquiring assets and managing businesses in Indonesia. He has expertise running businesses in Indonesia, exceeding revenue of US 80 million for more than 2 decades. A postgraduate management student. He speaks 8 languages and traveled to over 200 plus destinations worldwide. And he's worked closely with the national team of energy and regularly provides inputs to government and corporations. We have Mr. Mukesh here to moderate the session. Mr. Mukesh, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Gopal. That's for the kind words and introduction. I'm actually very excited for this session, and especially because so many of my friends, my colleagues, I myself face the hiring gap, the so-called hiring gap, where so many good people are available looking for a job, a suitable job, and so many enterprises are finding hard to find the right skilled people, the right qualified people. Now, I'd like to begin this session quickly, but from my own perspective, you see, Indonesia has registered a very high growth rate in GDP since last 2 decades. And with growth has come the set of problems, which is basically finding the right kind of talent. And it is becoming so much of a major problem that going by the current trends, Indonesia would need at least another 25 million skilled workforce to be added by the and to sustain the same growth levels and break into the top 15 economies in the world. Now, around the same year is expected that approximately there will be 50% gap between the demand and supply of middle managers, and top companies will be unable to fill in half of their operational or entry-level requirements. Now, tech startups have emerged as a big employer in the post-2012 era. There's an acute shortage of skilled tech graduates also. So the demand and the gap in the demand and supply of tech graduates has already outscored 5 to 3. That means we have about 80%. For every 10 tech graduates, we have only 2 which are technically qualified. Without wasting another much more time, I'll like to welcome all the panelists. Hello.
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 Yeah. Sorry. Can you hear me? I just lost this thing. I would like to welcome the panelists. We have Halim, Pak Effendi, Pak Halim Abdullah. He's the head of strategic partnership, UiTM Global Malaysia. Along with that, we have Pak Effendi. He's ex-HR Director GE Indonesia, currently holding the post of HR Director in CityLink. That's the subsidiary of Aurora Indonesia. Then we have Dr. James Loreto Piscos. He's the professor of Beda University and PAEPI Global President in the Philippines. And we also have Ms. Megha Mani. She's the head of strategic partnership in Murdoch University, and she's based in Dubai currently. And lastly, but not the least, we have Dr. Cristina Dragomir. She's the president of European Center of Social Responsibility, professor in Constanta Maritime University, Romania. I've gone through the introductions of the panelists in a rush because we are running short of time. I would also request the panelists to, or maybe Gopal, to share with us their credentials maybe later on. Welcome to the forum, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very excited to hear what you have to say. And without wasting any more time, I'll straight away go to my first question. You know, a lot of specialists have been talking about skill gap. Now, let's start by determining what exactly is the skills gap. Is it simply the difference between the demand and supply of skills and proficiency required, or is there something more to it? I would request Ms. Megha, if you can take up this question.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today and some amazing sessions. It's really good to be here. So a very good question about skills. So the skills required to perform any kind of job has always been changing, right? Whether it was because of increase in automation or changes in the marketplace, job descriptions rarely stay static. Now, the important point to note here is that the rate at which this is changing has really increased. It has considerably increased, right? It has been reported that about 33% of skills in a typical job posting in 2017 do not exist in a job posting in 2021. So just in about 4 years, most of the job skills required do not exist. So that is something which shows us that the gap is increasing at a very alarming rate. Also, a lot of new skills are required, right? Every year, a lot of new skills are coming into the picture. Like, let's talk about the pandemic itself. Some interesting things that I came across was multitasking between working from home, between like maybe your pets, kids, disturbance that happen at home. These kind of things were something very, very new that came up in pandemic, which I think almost everybody had to start developing or be able to manage all of that while you're doing a conference or a meeting. All of these things came up. So the point that I want to make here is really that the shift or the rate at which we need skills, the gap has really been one of the main things. So it's not just about the skills gap, but the total number of skills that we require every single year has really accelerated. So yeah.
Mukesh.
Thank you, Megha. That was pretty interesting. I will get back to the other panelists if they have any views on that. My next question, I mean, which has been on my mind for quite some time, and I wonder, the nature of work is rapidly changing due to emerging and disrupting technologies, and starting with the Internet of Things, and now artificial intelligence, the gig economy, the automation, and of course now, like you said, the pandemic, what we're facing. Now, shortage of skilled manpower remains a concern for employers. Yet, on the other hand, a number of graduates struggle to find employment. And I mean, like I said, there's so many good people, and still enterprises are finding it hard to fill in the gaps. So, what would be the panelist view on that? Hello, Abdul. Would you like to answer that?
Yeah, thank you. Maybe I like to respond a little bit about this question. Very interesting question actually, and also it's become a common issues actually when we talk about the graduate employability. Okay, it is a big concern nowadays, and I believe that the government in every country also has introduced a lot of strategies, a lot of programs to minimize the issues. Okay, reason of shortage of skills manpower that align with current technologies such as IoT, AI, artificial intelligence, gig economy, robotics, and automations are the concern highlighted by most of the employers. Okay, as myself, I'm from the universities. Okay, this issue indirectly drives to the queries to the education system. Okay, ourselves. Okay, questions such as the syllabus at the universities are still relevant. How far did the current technologies embedded to the university curriculum, and are the facilities of in the universities are really up to date? Okay, me myself, okay, as I'm from University Technology Mara, for example, our university is the largest university in Malaysia, and if I'm not mistaken, it's number 58 in the world. Okay, we have about 180,000 of enrollment, almost 1 million of graduates, and more than 500 programs offered at the 34 campuses around the country. This is our universities. Okay, the process to revise the syllabus were not that easy and straightforward. Okay, some of the programs are bonded with professional and accreditation bodies, so a lot of procedure to be fulfilled. And for sure, okay, the issue was very important to be addressed, but it's not that easy. Okay, so on the other hand, the industry itself, maybe they refuse to employ unskilled worker for sure. Okay, for sure they prefer to have a skilled manpower if they have a choice. This is very common. Okay, nowadays we have numbers of plenty of graduated candidates. Okay, so basically the competition is higher among the fresh graduates. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, so for sure the industry want to select the best candidate, okay, that suit for their demand and specific skills for sure. Meanwhile, the higher education institution also cannot provide too specific skill for dedicated industries, okay, to their student, as we don't even know which area the student will start the jobs. Okay, so it is not fair to keep blaming each other for this thing. Okay, it is most important to complement each other rather than to compete who should to be blamed. Okay, therefore, networking, collaboration between the institution, the industry are very important to increase the graduate employability. The basic and theoretical knowledge learned from the university was very important to strengthen the foundation and discipline of the graduate, while the relevant skill will become an adding value, okay, for them to meet the industry demand. Okay, if the graduate not fulfill the demand from the industry, upskilling, reskilling program will help. Okay, because technology change very fast, very rapidly. Okay, so or maybe such program can be offered throughout the period of the studies, and if it is difficult to embed that in the syllabus, okay, maybe we can offer as an optional program throughout the study period, which I believe most of the university have started these approaches. So that's my comment about this, Mr. Moderator. Thank you.
Right, Pak Halim. Thank you for the answer, but I'd like to have a follow-up question to that, if you will permit. You see, from different perspective, I'm talking about the industry, the government institutes, the educational institutions, the society as a whole. So there's several problems nowadays, like unemployment, income inequality, and a host of other economic challenges that have all been blamed on this so-called skill gap. Because again, like the business enterprise would not continue if they are not having that only critical asset, which is the people, the right kind of people. And the government has its own limitations. What are your views on that? I mean, does the educational institute need to do more, or what would you recommend?
Thank you. Maybe I respond also this question. Okay, thank you for the interesting question again. Okay, the term of skill gap was famously be addressed as the main reason for not employ people. Okay, I personally think that this issue actually related to supply and demand. Okay, if we have less number of students but a lot of job vacancy, it will be not an issue. Okay, but nowadays the condition are vice versa. That's why the skill gap issues come out. Okay, because we have the new technology, we can reduce the manpower, we can reduce the human, we come out with the robot automation and so on. So that's the issue that make the things happen. Okay, Again, we are not blaming employer for this. For sure, they are looking for the best among the best, and for sure with minimum investment. Okay, means that they are looking for a candidate with a complete skill package, so they don't need to spend more time for their new employees to develop the skill and so on. So on the other hand, the similar issues also lead to the income equality. Means that if you have a better skills, maybe your salary will be different. Okay, just to share a few story in our country. Okay, for fresh graduate, they always be advised not to be so choosy in starting their first job. Okay, just grab whatever opportunity that they have, although it is not really aligned with the qualification or background of the study. Thus, will gain more working experience. This will reduce the unemployment. One side, maybe we can agree with that. However, after a period of time, when this person or in this individual decide to find a new job that suit with the qualification, then the skill gap issue may arise. Okay, although this person has a working experience, but not equipped with the required skill, which may lead to the income difference. This is what I mentioned just now. Okay, simple example, if the person graduated as a mechanical engineer, I'm a mechanical engineer background, so his first job may be difficult to find a job, so he starts his job as an e-hailing driver, for example. After a few years, he decides to join the engineering industry. So the issues about the skills will become out. So not only the skills. Okay, so in my opinion on this issue, I personally think that the most important criteria to choose a candidate basically is the attitude. Okay, second the skills. Okay, maybe.
Tak minta kebenaran.
Gimana tu?
Dok hot power ni.
Okay, so interruption. So I remember few proverbs. Okay, a positive attitude may not solve all our problem. Okay, but it is the only option we have if we want to get out of the problem. Okay, so the technology change. Okay, and change rapidly. Okay, what we learn today may relevant today and tomorrow, but it might be outdated the day after. Okay, so if we not have it, we can reskilling and upskilling, but the positive attitude will become a passport to a better tomorrow. Okay, so for maybe my conclusion on this issue, for everybody should take responsible on this. For university and education institution, for example, keep adapting with the current skill demand by the industries, get engaged together and collaborate with the industry to offer the new skill to our students. Okay, for the industry, looking for skilled person is a bonus. Okay, but having a strong positive the people, we create more miracles than any wonder drugs. Okay, for individual, your attitude can take you down. So the choice is always yours. Okay, so keep the positive attitude and never give up to upgrade, upskill, and reskilling ourselves to get our dream job. So maybe this will be my comment about this question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pa. There's much more to ask, and there's one question I would really love to hear the feedback from our colleague from Philippines, Dr. James, but maybe towards the end of the session. And that question is, Dr. James, if you would, while I ask the other questions, if you could just, would you define it as skill gaps or skill mismatch? What's your experience in Philippines? If you would like to answer right now, you're more than welcome, or you would like to take some time, we'll come back to you.
Hello, I'd just like to point something about skill gap and skill mismanagement. I think the approach should be holistic. There should be a kind of a total package in terms of the formation and transformation of a learner or a student. Because when you talk about skills, we have to bear in mind the learning, the 21st century skill needed right now for our learners or students are the learning skills, the literacy skills, and most importantly, the life skills. And we talk about learning skills, and it has a critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication. We call it the 4 C's. And talk about literacy skills, we're referring to the capacity for technology, literacy for information, technology, and media. And the life skill is very important because we can see here human traits as flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. And if we put it together with multiple intelligences and we have these people smart or people skills, can bring into a better way of how our graduates can really adjust themselves to the working environment. So that's my initial answer to the question so far.
Yeah, right. Thank you. I'll have a follow-up question, but maybe towards the end of the session for that. Thank you so much, Dr. James.
Thank you.
My next question would be addressed to my friend Pak Effendi. Pak Effendi, like Pak Halim also touched and Ms. Megha also touched, the pandemic has made the issues of skill gap even more pressing. You know, we now with the system of work from home and or work from any location, the skill gaps among the available talent is emerging as a bigger challenge. So what role can reskilling or upskilling play in developing and retaining talent?
Thanks, Mukesh. This a great question. So let me first start with, actually right now I'm the Senior Advisor of Human Capital for the CityLink. They have just appointed the Human Capital Director a couple of days ago, Mr. Arif. And secondly, I would like to inform that, you know, in Indonesia, we right now need 600,000 digital talent to fill the digital talent gap, according to the Minister of Communication and Information. So there were a lot of modules, digital literacy launch, collaborating with a number of institutions like Gerakan Nasional Literasi, also Jaringan Penggiat Literasi. As well as I'm also a member of right now of steering committee of the Gerakan Nasional Indonesia Kompeten. This is an open platform that is more on enhancing competencies of Indonesia's workers, so to speak. Now to the question, it's very interesting one. My point of view is in developing and retaining talent during the post-pandemic coming up, we need to kind of reskill. And the question was, what are the reskilling activities, so to speak? So this is talking, Mukesh, about the digital literacy skills, effective communication via digital, maintaining strong engagement skill virtually. So that also a skill that we need to, you know, to kind of relearn. And then also performance monitoring skills via digital, and people management skill on keeping the motivations of our team members, so to speak, through virtual connections. And the other part of the question say, what do we need to upskills actually? Now, these are the things like inclusive leadership skills. So how can we keep still inclusive and involving others during the pandemic, where a lot of meetings has been conducted virtually? Also, the digital skills to make our work simpler and faster, adaptability skills, among other things, being agile and adaptive. And lastly is the growth mindset skill, you know, to learn, unlearn, and relearn, as the previous speaker said. So those are some of the things that we need to reskill and upskill, Mukesh. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Pak Effendi. I mean, that's a very interesting input. Right now, I hear a lot of HR practitioners talking about developing human beings' capability to unlearn things.
Yeah.
As per, you know, traditionally I read that human beings are incapable of unlearning anything. I mean, we cannot unlearn to ride a bicycle. We cannot unlearn to swim. And earlier also, I mean, with the advent of mobile, we were using feature phones. Then we went on to our Nokias, then communicators, then Blackberries. And we unlearned Blackberries, and then we on to iPhones and unlearn iPhones to smart Android phones. So that's a very interesting thing. It's a whole lot of discussion. But I'd like to move on to next question. And I think this, Megha, would like you to answer that. Because you are in the forefront, being in Dubai, you are in the forefront of let's say whatever is happening all across the world. Now, it is said that for several key jobs that will exist in about 5 years from now. The courses or the curriculum has to teach these technical skills for the job has not even been developed. Now, do institutions like yours even have the bandwidth to teach such volume and specializations to the would-be new entrants of the job market? What would be your comments on that, Megha?
Yes, that's again a very good question. And historically, universities have been known for comprehensive degree programs at undergraduate and postgraduate levels, which takes years to develop, and goes through extensive review, approvals before it becomes a curriculum that universities start delivering. However, the length of the development cycle has now put universities at a risk of becoming obsolete, right? As the market is racing so much ahead of time. So it is very important for, I believe, higher education institutes to first try and be able to not only, adapt their curriculum as per the requirements of the current trends, but also engage the right personnel like industry to be able to, advise and comment and add to that curriculum. So like, as you know, I'm with Murdoch University. We are, one of the Australian universities, also based in Singapore and Dubai. One of the things what we do is as a part of all our programs, we have a unit which is career learning spine. So what that does, it's a flexible, where we try and offer students the skills that is required. So that's one of the things that we do, because obviously it's not really possible for a university to change their curriculum very frequently, but having a unit that can be a little bit more flexible and involve industry, involve different types of facilitation required to develop these skills is something that I think is one way. The other thing that I believe is very important for educational institutes, even schools or higher education institutes, is to obviously build the growth, the mentality of continuous learning, or teaching students how to learn. Depending on what course or what kind of sector they are in, they might require different kinds of tools. If it's a very technical field or it's a medical field, the tools are always different. So I believe it becomes very important for university to now get the students the kind of tools required in their particular industry, and have them learn how to keep on learning throughout their life. So that is a skill which again I believe is a growth mindset, which has become very, very important for, I believe, the higher education and for universities. A couple of other points I would like to mention. One of them is, obviously most of the universities, including ours, we have engagement with companies, with corporates. We have events, we have internships, we do a lot of different activities. But rather than focusing on formulating answers, I would say that attention needs to be on asking questions of businesses to better understand their current and future needs of the workforce. Also to partner with companies to identify and access the knowledge and skills that through, maybe advisory committees, surveys, one-to-one meetings, through some of these activities to try and understand what is really the future need of those organizations. One of the other points I would also think, which most of the universities already do, is partner the faculty with subject matter experts in the industry, and to develop, learning or interactions or constant interaction with industry experts to be able to understand what's really happening in the sector, which again, as a university, and also I mean a part of Navita's group, which has a lot of universities. This is something that we do all the time. We have, interventions or panel discussions or events where we are able to engage students directly to, with industry experts. So yes, apart from that, the last point is, having like ISEC and a lot of organizations within the university where students can interact with other students from different parts of the world, other institutions is very, very important. And it's become so easy now, right? Because everything is digital. And one of the other things as a university, what we notice is that there is too much happening in the digital world. There are like too many conferences, there are too many events. So it becomes very important for a university or a faculty to be able to direct the students to the ones that are important, or to get them to engage with events and activities that will benefit them. So yeah, some of these things I believe is what, as higher education institutes, we do, and something that I believe helps. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Megha. That's quite insightful. See, obviously, universities have their own limitations in terms of maybe the compliance or regulatory licenses they have to get from the relevant governments. And nowadays, with the speed of the way that the tech industry is moving at the speed of light, and it's definitely the educational institutions themselves need to be at that speed. Maybe the government needs to do something about that. Have a better, easier entry and exit. And I just had I just got a share from one of my colleagues. They said IIP has shared that in 2018 and 2019 in India there's still above 40% students enrolled in humanity courses, and and only about 19% students enrolled in technical courses. So there's a still bigger, very huge gap, because we need more techies right now than people who take up humanities. I mean, to fuel the growth, it is in the digital world we need techies. Moving on to the next question, I'll again, before I come to Cristina, I like to ask Pak Effendi again. Now, going on to the, in continuation with the earlier question I had, nowadays the employees themselves are similarly anxious about widening skill gaps. About 46%, there was a survey conducted, and they say about 46% believing their current skill set will be irrelevant by, let's say, 2024. What would you recommend them to do, Pa?
Yes, thank you, Mukesh. I think a lot has been said by Megha. Thank you so much. Yeah, I would like just to add a little bit. So that's why we need to nurture and build the awareness and ownership to the rapid changes in the technology. And the way we do business, all that will be changing a lot in the coming few years. And we also need, again, to kind of build growth mindset on each of our employees, for instance. Otherwise, they will be irrelevant in terms of skills, because competencies, expertise, those skills can become irrelevant rather quickly. So the essence is what we call the transferable skills, the soft skills, the growth mindset. And with that, then employees can be more adaptable. So the most impacted sectors would be on like telecommunication, financial technologies, and then high-tech industries. That's what I can add, Mukesh. Thank you.
Mukesh, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Pak Effendi. Yeah, that was brief, but yeah, insightful. And I face this situation every day with my own company's employees. And obviously, as apart from the employee, I mean, we are all going through a traumatic phase because of this pandemic. But whether it's entrepreneurs or the employees, they both have a high level of anxiety, maybe thanks more to this pandemic. And each day we feel that we are lesser and lesser skilled for something new that's coming up. Now, hi, Cristina. My next question would be to you. What would you recommend to SMEs? Because small and medium enterprises, they are anyway find it hard to compete for talent. They're finding it increasingly hard to compete for talent when they in the market as compared to the multinational corporations. What would you recommend to them?
Thank you for your question, dear Mukesh. Yes, indeed. Although at the beginning of the digital revolution, between 1950s and 70s, digitalization was a topic of technology. And after 1990s, it became a business subject. And today, it became a subject of leadership knowledge. Therefore, indeed, SMEs might feel not confident in themselves. We are currently living in a challenging, highly tech and digital context known as the algorithmic age. And digital transformation is no more about technology only. Being the president of the European Center of Social Responsibility in Europe, we developed there lots of projects of consultancy for sustainable development goals and for sustainable economic growth. And I'm also the professor at Constanta Maritime University. And from my expertise in the academic relations with the employers in Europe, there are three things that I would like to recommend to the SMEs, and that would be innovation, innovation, and innovation. So they need to focus huge on innovation. Specialists say this is not a digital revolution, but this is a digital evolution. So as stated by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, in 2019, algorithmic age is the actual time context where automated technologies and decision-making systems are starting to influence world-scale economies, including SMEs, affecting directly and indirectly the end users and the beneficiaries. And artificial intelligence is indeed used intensively in automated business and in political and in decisional and in technical systems. And in the context of the algorithmic age, accelerated development of artificial intelligence and advanced social web technologies actually lead toward machine-aided participatory communication. So this, I believe, is an opportunity for the SMEs, because this is a boosting process and is updating conventional business of the companies. So I believe the SMEs should be resilient and should focus on that. And the critical factors of digital transformation are adaptive learning, organizational culture, leadership strategy, capabilities, and understanding the digitalization impact for the evaluated customer. So digital technologies and tools will transform the role of SMEs from central economic mechanisms to enablers of value creation. So SMEs, I believe, can use tools, these types of tools, to create or to join smarter and more connected distributed networks.
Thank you, Cristina. I have another question for you as a follow-up. Now, this is more to do with education. Do you think the traditional education system become redundant in the current scenario?
Well, we need to take a look again, the context where traditional education is now. So the algorithms emerging from artificial intelligence and machine learning applications are suited to solve demanding problems and to improve our ability to accomplish time-consuming tasks. However, they raise unique legal, regulatory, and ethical challenges because they may go and result in unintended and harmful behavior if the wrong objective function is specified. And codes using such dynamic algorithms can evolve so much that regulatory agencies might no longer be able to understand or predict how they function. This change has an inevitable impact on all modes of transport. And physical, moral, and philosophical hazards might emerge when artificial intelligence systems are used in areas of human decision-making. So this is the context where traditional education is now. And leaders of tomorrow must become algorithmically literate in order to be ready for the high demands of structural and operational changes of the sector. I believe they have to be aware of the safety and security critical systems, from self-driving technologies, management algorithms, to security-based access control and beyond. And I believe they should understand the behavior of their peers and their followers when digital risks occur. So this is something new for leadership. And of course, it's something new for the traditional educational system. And reacting properly in situation of digital and technological crisis is a key aspect during challenging advanced operations. So in such context, I believe a new type of leader is emerging, and that would be the digital leader, and the traditional education system should be aware of this type of new leadership. Traditional education should empower more the students to become digital leaders. So otherwise, educational system will become redundant. And I believe a digital leader is the icon person who explores the growing use of digital technologies in the operations landscape, addressing risks in the fast-moving digital and real environments, while adapting to the role of mentorship for both new non-tech shrewd and high-tech skilled followers. And most notably, I believe a digital leader doesn't need to mandatorily understand how the advanced digital technology is created, but should learn and should understand how to use such technology in order to create competitive advantage and welfare. So in conclusion, the following skills and competencies should be taught by universities in order not to become redundant. So this would be digital literacy and design thinking and creativity. And also very important would be the critical thinking, and not the least, emotional intelligence. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Cristina, for this. We have about a few more minutes. I would, if we can squeeze in a couple of follow-up questions. You see, one of the interesting phenomena that I've been noticing is that in the times of our grandparents, they started working when they were late teens, and we started working maybe in our early 20s after finishing a graduation or post-graduation. Nowadays, the typical employee, the entry-level employees at the age of 25, 26, and they feel the lack of, they feel that they are not skilled enough. Now, the way this way is going, and on the other hand, again, the enterprises feel that they do not have enough skilled people. What I call this is the hiring gap, where there are more and more educated unemployment people, and there are more and more job openings which are not being filled in. Now, obviously, I mean, nature, things have their own way to balance out. But I would look forward to your views, because you being the specialist in this area. How long is this trend going to continue? I mean, how long till the time the educational institutions are finally able to catch up to fill in this hiring gap? I mean, it's free for anyone to answer. I would. Megha, maybe you would like to answer that, or Halim? No.
I just have one comment about your question. Actually, not the complete answer. I just wanted to say that obviously, like you mentioned, there are a lot of jobs. There are a lot of job seekers, but it's difficult to match them. One of the things that it's been observed after the pandemic is remote working has become very popular, and I mean, earlier I would being in Dubai apply for jobs here, but now the opportunity is to apply for jobs all globally. So that itself is a development which has made things global or worldwide. So companies are now looking at hiring people from all over the world, and similarly job seekers now have the option of not having to leave their city or country and still work for maybe an absolutely different continent. So that is something I just wanted to point out.
Thank you so much, Megha. Any other comments on this?
Can I comment?
Yes, Pak Effendi.
Okay.
Mukesh, I just had a big conversation with professors and PhDs from IPMI International Business School the other day, and we were talking about the future of education, and I think the trend would be that things like bachelor degree or full kind of full-time 4-year education, like master degree for 2 years, all those things in the future will be shortened. And then there will be like more on modular education, catering to the need of the corporations, rather than degrees like BA and also master degree. So that was the thing that was highlighted in the discussions. So maybe just to add, Mukesh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Anybody else?
Maybe I'd like to add some. Okay, so
yeah, sure.
In our universities, okay, as I mentioned earlier, our university is the largest university. So instead of talking about the graduate employability, instead of the students seeking for a job, so we have some aim that about 5% to propose for the student to become an employer. Means that we encourage them to go for entrepreneurship, and for those who have specific skills, for example, from the engineering, for example, okay, we encourage what we call the technopreneurship. So you have the skills, okay, you have the machine from the universities. On some of them, maybe you can have your own. So try to start your own company. So by that, I also experience my students. So start a small company and create a job, and instead of becoming employee, they become an employer. So we also have the module or a syllabus or some program that encourage students to become the entrepreneur. So this will be another opportunity, not only waiting for a job, but we are also producing a job. Thank you. Just share from
very interesting, Pak Halim. That's another very interesting thing you said there. I remember when I was a teenager, I used to be a jack of all. I used to play all the sports, and I used to play everything, and even do a bit of play, a little bit of academics here and there. And my dad used to say that you be a master of one, not a jack of all. And suddenly I realized that it requires a jack of all to be an entrepreneur. When I grew up, I required. Now, another follow-up question to this, and I would really look forward to your insights into this, because our youngsters nowadays have a more competitive, a more challenging environment as compared to what we had, our next generation. One side is the skill gap. Second side is the specialization has also created a lot of problem for SMEs. And here I would like maybe Cristina or Megha for you to answer also. Now, my past experience has been that even if we hire for people who are earlier could be finance, accounting, payroll, taxation person, nowadays you have youngsters, you have millennials, you have Generation Y, and when you interview them, they are very good people, very good talent, but they say, "Oh, sorry, but I just do accounting, I don't do finance," or "Oh, I do account and financing, I don't do payroll." "Oh, I do account and financing and payroll, I don't do reporting." So the specialization, which is the mastery of specialization, also has led to a kind of skill gaps in other areas. Whereas a person, a certified accountant, in Indonesia and Malaysia we have private, and in India we have a chartered accountants or so this kind of scenario, I mean, of course, from one side, the new generation is finding it more challenging. But the other side, when they go and acquire that specific talent, how relevant it is going to be for the next decade or no? You know, it's a very, very big dilemma. And so skill gap and specialization in a skill, aren't they conflicting?
Hi, that's such an important point that you have raised, and that's absolutely correct. You know, students choose a program, a specialization, and then they later realize that's not enough. So one of the things that our university does, which I immediately thought of, is double majors, or for the students to be able to do more than one degree in the undergraduate level itself, like IT and business, or psychology and marketing. So these are some things that we offer, which I think is where it makes it a little bit more relevant for the students to not just become experts in one field, like they can do accounting and finance, or marketing and accounting. So this is something which I really love, and I think a lot of our students benefit from this, because when employers are looking at someone, they want a manager who also knows accounting. They want an accountant who knows management as well. So you know, people have to have more than one specialization or more than one skill. And I really think it's important for institutions going forward to be able to allow students to do multiple specializations or become experts in more than one or two or even more subjects, because that is where, you know, they'll be employable and they'll be able to do justice in future.
Thank you, Megha. Before we wrap up, anyone else would like to just make a 30-second comment?
Hello, I'd like to share.
Yeah, okay. Dr. James.
Yeah, hello. I'd just like to share about our experience of putting social responsibility through social enterprise. What our students are doing. Okay, what our students are doing are to implement their classroom learning and eventually share it to the communities. In the community, we are actually doing a lot of research together with the students, and these students are able to form themselves through social enterprise. So for example, if they're majors in accounting and social entrepreneurship, marketing, they are going to utilize them, and these skills are used and it kind of going to people, helping them help themselves through creating those small businesses that we are helping. We have a project, for example, in Mountain Province, in where we have our project of mushroom to people, and the ones running the project are the people, but with the mentorship of our students. So our students we are training them to become mentoring the mentors. So I think with that practice of mentoring the mentors and be able to go into putting into real practice social responsibility through social enterprise, then students develop a character. I think nowadays what's important are not just a technical part of the learning of students, but also the character building, where we can transform them and transform eventually society. And that's what we need, because right now we can see and we have witnessed how students are separated anymore in the way they are getting in touch so much with technology, and we need more heart, a stronger heart where these students can really survive in the corporate world. And as a president of Philippine Association Extension Program Implementers, we in the Philippines are trying to put together education of research extension, which is based on research also, and instruction, and putting them together to create a better world, a heart to the world through social enterprise. So that's one of the programs that we are doing. In Beda, we are trying to practice that, and we want to share our best practices in different schools as well. So that's my experience.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. James. Just Cristina, Cristina wanted to add something. We have about 30 seconds left. We don't have 30 seconds left, but if you can, Cristina, please quickly wrap up. Answer this question and I'll wrap up.
Okay, in only 30 seconds, related to what Abdul previously said about entrepreneurship, is a really, really great idea. It's very, very empowering. But what universities and the academic and school system should do, should bring confidence to the students. So, okay, everyone, I believe, really everyone can be an entrepreneur, but not everyone has enough confidence to do that. And this is also related to what Megha said. So they should not only be confident, but also they should strive for curiosity to learn what management means, what finance means, and every other subjects, other disciplines. So this is empowering by confidence and curiosity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cristina. And I would like to, on the behalf of our organizers, I'd like to thank all of you, Pak Effendi, Pak Halim, Dr. James, Megha, and Cristina. You've been amazing. I learned a lot in this session, and I wish that we can have another session soon, because there's so many questions that are coming out of it now, and there's more and more. I mean, I asked, because of time limitation, I asked only a few questions, but I have more than double the questions that I would like to ask again. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking out the time to be on this forum. And over to you, Gopal.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Megha.
Yeah, thank you, Mukesh, and the panel of speakers for again another enlightening session with a lot of thoughts and insights and sharings, which I am sure will be beneficial to all our audience. And it's time again for the next session,